Today, we need to talk about something that has been weighing heavily on the fashion community lately. It is time for a serious conversation on how we treat young designers when they take over major heritage houses. And this has happened a lot recently. Lately, it feels like the internet has turned fashion criticism into a blood sport. Every time a new 30 something creative director gets appointed to a historic label, the countdown clock starts. If their debut collection isn't a flawless masterpiece that completely reinvents the wheel while simultaneously matching the exact archives from 1954, the internet writes them off, hates on them, shits on them with all their heart. By morning, the comment sections are filled with declarations that the house is dead and demands already that the designer must be fired. It is exhausting, and honestly, it's deeply unfair. We need to be a lot nicer to young designers at heritage houses. Let us break down why this happens, what they are actually up against, and why we need to change how we watch debut shows. Put yourself in their shoes for a second. Imagine you are an independent designer or a senior design assistant. You are incredibly talented, you have a distinct vision, and you're working hard. Suddenly, you get the call. A massive luxury conglomerate wants you to take over the house with hundreds of years of history. On day one, you walk into a studio where the walls are practically whispering the name of the legendary founders and designers before you. You are not just designing clothes anymore, you are managing a global corporate creative entity, a brand that people have loved for years and years, a brand that makes millions, billions of dollars every year, the brand who is deeply tied to people identity, culture, music, fashion, cinema, and so much more. And all along, the timeline is also brutal. When a new designer is hired, they usually only have a few months, sometimes even a few weeks to put together their very first show. Remember Ralph Simmons at Dior? They are moving into a brand new studio, learning how to work with an entirely new team of pattern makers, seamstresses, and trying to figure out where the coffee machine is. At the same time, they're expected to produce 60 to 80 looks that will define the future of that multi-billion-dollar brand. It is an impossible standard. No one settles into a high level executive job in 3 months, and yet we expect fashion designers to perform miracles instantly. And then comes the trap of the archive. The biggest hurdle these young creatives face is that what I call the trap of the archive. Every heritage house has an archive, a literal, honest to God vault filled with old garments, sketches, fabrics from the brand's golden and original era. When a new designer comes in, the public wants them to do two completely contradictory things at the same time. If the designer strays too close to the archives, critics call them boring and unoriginal. They say the designer is just copy pasting the past. They're living in the past, they don't have a vision of their own, they are recreating something that already exists. But if the designer tries to do something fresh and pushes the brand into a new modern direction, the same critics scream and lose their mind. They say that the designer is disrespecting the heritage of the house, the history of the house, the archives of the house. The designer is basically a moving target. It cannot win, you cannot win, and unfortunately, no one wins in this situation. What we need to understand is a debut collection is almost never a statement of pure artistic intent. It is a transition. It is a designer introducing themselves to the team, testing the water, testing the audience. It is a soft launch. If we do not give them the room to stumble in that first collection, they will never feel safe enough to take the big risks that truly lead to legendary fashion moments. And let's not forget, fashion is a business in the end. It's not just art. Yes, it is art, but it is not just art. Even just art is never just art, is also business. This is another reality check that gets lost in the social media noise. Fashion is an industry. Heritage houses do not exist solely today to make beautiful garments for museum displays. They exist to sell clothes, bags, shoes, perfumes. When a young designer takes over, they are not just answering to the ghosts of the founder and the archives and the creativity. They are answering to CEOs, board members, shareholders. These executives want stability. They want pieces that can sit on a luxury retail floor from Tokyo to New York to Mumbai to Paris and sell out everywhere. Often, a debut collection looks a bit safe for a commercial because the business side of the brand is required that way. Sometimes it's too controversial just for eyeballs and publicity. You can think of Duran Latnik's John Paul Gaultier debut in this case. The designer has to prove they can move product before they are given total freedom to go wild with avant-garde concepts. Like Nicolas Ghesquier at Louis Vuitton is doing right now. He has earned that luxury. When we judge a collection entirely on how dramatic or theatrical it looks on the runway stream on YouTube, we are missing the bigger picture. We are ignoring the incredible tailoring, commercial viability, and sheer operational effort that it takes to get those clothes into production and then onto the runway. So, what do we need? A new approach to watching shows. We need to fix this. We need to be better and we need to have and be more thoughtful observers of fashion. It starts with changing our mindset when we watch a debut show. Instead of looking for perfection, we should look for potential. We need to stop treating a designer's first collection like a final exam and start treating it like the first chapter of a very, hopefully, very long book. Here is a quick guide on how to analyze a debut collection with a bit more empathy and a bit more clarity. First is look at the details, not just whatever drama is going around the show and the collection. Look past the styling, music, focus on the actual clothes. Do you like the tailoring? Do you like the shapes? Do you like the cuts? Do you like the colors? Do you like that jacket? Do you like that drape on that dress? It's the little details that often make up the collection and shows the designer's real talent, and that is how you can actually form a proper judgment of the same. Second is spot the hidden seeds. Look for the small ideas that the designer might grow into bigger concepts later. And yes, if you notice little things that don't make sense to you in the first collection, they will connect with you in the second, third, or fourth collection. And that connection is what makes fashion so fun. It's beautiful when you discover that and when that happens. Third is give it 3 seasons minimum. This is the golden rule of fashion critique. Never judge a creative director fully until their third collection. And to be honest, you can also give them a couple of more, but 3 collections is bare minimum. By season 3, the initial panic has faded. The designer has built a relationship with the team and the atelier. They understand their customer, they have processed their feedback. This is when you see who they really are and you start to see their work. And this is, I think, a good time to start forming opinions. And fourth, give the genius time to grow. The designer was hired by this massive big heritage house for a reason. You know it, I know it, they know it, even he knows it. Give them time. If we look back at fashion history, some of the most celebrated creative directors of all time had rocky starts. Right. I mean, not every collection is iconic or legendary. It takes designers years to find their footing and align their personal style with the machinery of those massive houses. To be honest, if social media existed back in the 90s or 2000s, this sort of public outcry might have cut those era short, and we probably would have never gotten John Galliano's Dior or Marc Jacobs Louis Vuitton. We would have missed out on some of the most iconic moments in cultural history. We need to give people time to grow. Innovation does not happen in a state of fear. When we create an environment where young designers feel like one bad review will end their career, we kill creativity. They stop taking risks altogether, and we end up with boring, safe, repetitive fashion. At the end of the day, fashion should be inspiring, exciting, and fun. It is a human art form made by real people who are putting their hearts and soul on display for the world to see. The next time a house debuts a designer, let's all take a deep breath before we open Twitter or a notes app. Let's skip the instant snarky takedowns and dramatic memes. Instead, let's look deeply, let's look with empathy, let's celebrate the bravery that it takes for these designers to step into those giant shoes. Let us give these designers grace, time, and space they need to build their vision. Because when we support young talent instead of tearing them down, the whole industry wins. Let me know what you think about this. Which young designer do you think right now deserves a bit more patience right now? Let's keep the comment respect. Let's keep the conversation respectful and constructive down there. And thank you so much for watching. I would definitely love to know your thoughts on this, so do share them. And thank you. Have a good day.